Americans of Middle East descent don't all basically fall into the same collectivist group that often the administration wants us to, or certain groups that have K Street addresses want to claim that we speak all as one voice, and we don't. Just like all of America, we span from the right to the left, and I think now this year many of us are encouraging our community to become more active and not only get out and vote, but get out and support the candidates that you believe in, because this is a tipping point in history, that we are living right now in an important time in history in which there's only sometimes not only in one generation, but often one millennium shifts that happen in history that we see now happening in Egypt, in Syria, in Tunisia, and all across the Middle East. And now with this administration, it's being tipped in the wrong direction. We see the strong horse basically winning out, and we see the exchange of one fascism for another. We see the ascendancy of theocrats in Egypt, and we saw this administration pass up a major opportunity in Iran with the Green Revolution. And I think that basically was a signal, and Walid, who has been a leader in our community for some time, will come up and tell you later about more of the details of what the policy errors that we had were at that time. But I will tell you, as I saw that in the summer of 2009, long before the Arab Spring ever happened, we saw that this administration abandoned them, that those on the ground did not see America standing behind those who believed in freedom. And I think the narrative that my family felt when they came here to the U.S., that narrative that they could be more Muslim than any so-called Muslim country, and that they could practice their faith and come to a land of opportunity, a land of individual rights, and a land of freedom, is a narrative that this administration doesn't seem to know how to make the case for. It's a narrative that this administration has not been able to articulate to the people on the ground in Egypt and in Syria and elsewhere. And in fact, they're seeing us sort of third party out the solutions in Syria to Iran and Russia. They're seeing us sort of let Iraq fall to Iran, and every country that has looked to us for soft power, for that ideological leadership, for freedom, they've seen us disappear. And I think that you have to have somebody in the White House like Governor Romney that is able to talk about American vision, the city on the hill that's able to advance the principles of freedom. And often it may not be the popular thing to say. And you saw with his speech last week on Syria especially, he said things that right now, with the sentiment in America that is shifting more towards isolationism because of how much we had a price to pay in Iraq and Afghanistan, but yet his leadership was such that it was clear that he understood that without those rebels on the ground being helped by good people, Syria is becoming more and more radicalized. For all those that said we shouldn't do anything in Syria, I can tell you my family hails from there, and they've lived under oppression for almost 2 generations now. The Do Nothing group is seeing Syria become more radicalized, more jihadi, more radical groups coming in and making the situation untenable for those who are free thinkers, and also for Israel and others who are our friends in the region. And I don't see the current administration doing anything as far as solving the problem and at least helping the good people on the ground. And this is the way America is being perceived. The Muslim Brotherhood did not win the majority of votes in Egypt the first time around. 75% of the Egyptians voted against them. And yet, we continue to just sort of put our finger up in the wind, see which way it's going, and take that direction, and not really exert leadership and help those on the ground, the feminist movement, the minorities, and all of those who really are looking for platforms, civil society, NGOs that need to get growth and have help from those who really have established freedom, like the West and Europe and our country. And I think Governor Romney could do that. And this is why I think this election has moved me to be active as the son of Syrians and as someone who believes in helping my motherland. And I'll tell you, as you leave here, and all of your Middle East contacts, and especially those who can vote and be active, tell them that we have a responsibility to give back to our lands that are changing. As Americans, you know, I served in the U.S. Navy for 11 years, and right now I'm serving in a lot of different organizations, and I do this because America sits, even though we're only 1% of the population, or 2 to 5% depending on which ethnicity, we have a unique role in our laboratory that we have here to do these things, to give back to countries that don't have the ability to do that, or people that speak out get shot or imprisoned or don't have the freedoms. And we can do this here. And I think Middle East Americans who believe in liberty, I think now are going to be tested, especially in the next 30 days before this election. And as you leave here, get the vote out, get people to be invigorated to help not only Governor Romney, but other conservative candidates that believe in the American sense of liberty and freedom abroad and also domestically.